This is part 7 in a series of videos in which I'm building a linear version of the Ryden RD6006 power supply. I've previously built a version using a switching supply, an off-the-shelf Chinese supply, and I want to build a linear version so I can do a direct back-to-back comparison to see whether the linear version will be better than the switching version. So as you can see, I've got the transformers finished, I've got the outer covers on. Fully tested these, they run as they're supposed to, they don't get hot. I noticed in the previous video that one looked bigger than the other, but they're not, they're identical size. That's just because I have the camera sitting between me and the bench, and so when things get close to it, it tends to have a kind of fisheye effect on the objects it's looking at. Okay, so that's the transformers done. I'll just pop those out of the way. So this is the case. It's the same type that I used for the switching version. Exactly the same controller. So I've popped the RD6006 into the case. I've put the rear socket in. It's not screwed in yet. It's just to give me an idea how much space I have to play with. Initially I was going to fit the capacitor bank here. I mentioned this board in the previous video. I've now assembled and tested it. As I say, I was going to fit it here, but realised that it's going to block too much of the airflow, both for the controller and for anything behind it. So the vent's here, and if I put this as a screen, it's going to block the airflow too much. Also, I have tried running the RD6006 very close to a transformer, and it doesn't seem to be affected by it at all, so I don't think that'll be a problem anyway. So the way I've decided to arrange this is to stagger the two transformers so that the supply is reasonably balanced. I don't want it to be too heavy on one side. It doesn't make a huge difference, of course, but I just prefer to build things so that they are not too cumbersome to move around. It is going to be a heavy supply. It's going to come in, I think, at about probably 6 or 7 kilos. It's not too bad. The Rigel only handles around half of this power, and that's slightly heavier, so it's not going to be a heavyweight by any stretch of the imagination for a linear supply of this power. It's going to be nice and compact. Everything looks like it's going to fit in nicely. I'm going to put the capacitor bank back here. I'll need to make a couple of brackets just to hold it in place. As you can see, it's quite a nice fit in the case. And it's just really a matter of organising things so that they fit nice and cleanly without any danger of shorts or anything fouling. I then have the fan controller board, and that's going to fit onto these 3 posts down here. There are 2 temperature sensors on the system. There's an external one that connects to the RD6006, and then this is a standalone controller. And this is used to control the fan that will be fitted to the rear of the case, and the sensor that's connected to the RD6006 will be fitted in this case to the same location that I'm going to attach this probe to, and that will be the heatsink that the rectifier will sit on. So I'm going to put a heatsink assembly here. As the fan sits at the back of the case, draws air through, and I want the fan to draw air through a finned heatsink that the rectifier will be sitting on. I'll either use a rectifier like this or the one I showed previously, whichever fits onto the heatsink best, depending on what heatsink I can find that will fit into the space. I want to fit the heatsink and the rectifier at the back here because it's the thing that will get hottest, and I don't want to be drawing air through the case. Air comes in through a vent on the bottom of the case here, and I don't want air being drawn through something that's hot at this end and then all hot air going down through the enclosure. So the hottest thing will be at the back here, and then the 2 sensors will be attached to that heatsink, so the fan will be working in response to the hottest part of the system, and also the Ryden display will be displaying the hottest part of the system as well. So that's how it's going to be arranged. It's looking quite promising. There's plenty of room for everything. I will be doing a mini teardown of the RD6006. I've been asked to do a teardown of this. I'll do a mini teardown. There's not a great deal to see, so I'm not going to tear it down in such a way that it destroys it. But we'll have a look at the various devices it uses and the general way it's configured. and that might be interesting to look at before I complete the assembly of this supply. So I'll do that in the next video, and then the video after that I'll show the unit being assembled, and then we can start testing it.